Okay, and now being 6 o'clock, I will call the September 10th Board of Selectmen meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded for cablecast and YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media. The video of this meeting is not to be considered an official public record. And we got our phones on vibrating? We're doing good, okay. First on our agenda is, since Rick is here and wants to talk about earth removal, why don't we start with earth removal? Rick?
So I've had a chance to look at the application and the plan, the site plan for the earth removal. And as far as Concom's considered, there's no issues that we can see. We will be requesting them to put up a small silt barrier. One of the piles is abutting a wetland. The other two one's not, and the other one, the closest wetland is actually the cranberry bog, so I'm sure they want to protect that. So we see no issues why that couldn't move forward. We will be doing a site visit with the board. We've just been having trouble getting everybody together, but we will do that and have recommendations on silt fence for the final issuance of the plan.
Okay.
So we officially meet a week from tomorrow, so we will have our site visit before that and be able to.
But do you have a recommendation for us tonight?
I do. I don't see why it cannot move forward from our standpoint. Under the ag exemption, they're allowed to do what they're doing. They're not really removing earth other than what they've piled there over the years, and then it's composted and turned into topsoil. So, we're all set.
Any questions?
No.
So we should wait until your site visit and...
If there's something that you can do to move it along, I think it could move along. I apologize for...
We could issue our decision, and we'll just have to work on the formatting since it's our first one. And we could acknowledge that they appear to meet the agricultural exemption, and therefore nothing further is required from the Board of Selectmen. And I think maybe we should put a note in there that just because you're deciding this, essentially that it doesn't make them exempt from anything that conservation might require, that each board will have to...
we would, if it was going through the same channels as one of our projects, we would approve it and then follow up with what we need for on-site processes. So.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we approve the earth removal request by Haju. Subject.
Are we agreeing that it's, what we're really doing is agreeing that the work they want to do is in fact exempt?
Exempt.
Yeah, okay.
So I would make a motion that we, subject to conservation approval after.
And so if you guys see stuff, are you going to write up conditions? Or?
Yes, we're just got an order of conditions,
Okay.
asking them to place silt barrier
Great.
to prevent any erosion into the wetlands.
Okay. That's perfect. I didn't realize that you were going to issue an order for it. So that takes care of all their
Perfect.
stuff.
I'm not, here again, this is new, so with this, it would be probably a recommendation from us, since it's not really, it's not like an NOI.
Right.
It's an intent that's coming in front of us. It would be our
Right.
recommendation to the board.
So we would.
Include that with the approved application.
So our write-up would be that we agree that this project is exempt and we remind them to follow recommendations of
Yes.
Concom along the way.
Okay.
Okay,
Great. Okay.
All right, so I'll second the motion.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Great.
very much, Rick.
So I apologize from Concom if we delayed the process at all, because I know it's been a while in the summertime.
The truth being, we probably delayed
We probably
it a
are the
bit,
ones that
so-
actually delayed it, so, but thank you.
No problem. A week from tomorrow.
Okay,
Great.
so the 18th.
Yes, 18th.
Okay.
I do think, I chatted with Rick earlier today, and I do think it would be nice if the process allowed them to have a person who can do a site visit without a full board. And they're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because we got to speed up this process. We can't have people waiting around.
Right, or a designee, right, it's
Right.
just,
Especially for 61A where they're exempt anyways.
right.
Okay. Okay, preparation for special town meeting. Put this on just to make sure we're all on the go page.
Yep.
Anything we need to be thinking about?
Maybe you'll let town administrator speak first, and
Sure. Our moderator should be all set to attend. He has a very small window of time to arrive, though, so Tara's all set as far as backup,
Good.
should anything come up.
Right?
Tara will be prepared for any and all scenarios as things may play out at the meeting. For town council, it's actually going to be Jonathan Eichman, who's been assisting all along with this. He'll be in attendance.
Oh, good.
That's
On
great.
behalf of KP.
Good.
That way, if any last-minute questions come up, at least he has that
He's
area of
completely, right,
expertise.
familiar with the case.
The last I knew, council had drafted, come up with essentially a draft motion to be utilized, and I believe he was working with bond counsel just to make sure that the language was proper.
For the article, or?
For the draft motion,
this is the
that's
motion, which,
typically.
I don't know if you
But
guys were
that
copied.
is the warrant article, right?
No.
It's
There's the
not
warrant
quite as
article, and then
simple
there's the
as-
actual motion that has many more details in it. And
Right, it's
I
more
actually made a
detailed.
copy.
Yeah, I think it specifies the funding sources.
So this includes the funding source, the authorization for Board of Selectmen to actually buy the land, includes in it accepting any
Okay,
gifts or
okay.
grants.
I'm with you. Okay.
And our ability to sell it, and our ability to put a conservation restriction on. And this, still a draft, has to go through bond council. This process has been such, I don't doubt there'll be a couple more tweaks before Thursday night. and,
Okay.
But it reads pretty well, and I think we're pretty darn close.
You'll make the motion, Mark?
I'm glad to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen of the
Yep.
proposers.
Yeah.
Right.
And
okay.
Open Space then meets Wednesday night, and I think we have to sort of iron out the order of speakers and all that, but we're pretty darn close.
Okay, great.
So there will be a presentation on town meeting floors?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Open Space, CPC might want to comment, I think we might want to
Sure.
comment,
Mhm.
and chance for everyone to say
Okay.
what they need to say.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're going to start the comments from the Selectmen's point of view.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I'd
Okay.
like to do that.
I'll be glad to talk, but I think you've been the lead
Right.
person.
Support
Right.
everything
Yeah.
I say, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Kidding.
And the warrant was already mailed out.
Yep,
It's
Yep.
posted.
Yep.
It's
So we
posted.
are official.
we are
And there
official.
is tons of stuff on the town website. Everything's up there. The thing that went up on Friday, it's a little bit dense in language, but there's a 4-page question and answer
Yeah, I
thing
saw
for
that.
questions that have come up. And all the other stuff is up there. Anyone that wants information, it is readily available at the town website.
Great. Good.
Okay?
That's next week.
It is?
Yeah.
Boy.
Thursday,
Oh,
right?
and Studio 58, we're okay with?
Yes, Bree confirmed with them.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. The Old Town, so that's it on special. Moving on to the Old Townhouse Restoration. We got bids in, right?
Take one of these and pass it down.
I think
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay, I didn't know if
Okay.
anybody
Thank you.
needed it. Yes, and then one of those.
Thank you.
I'll take one, because it's right there. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
I got two of the same.
Oh, one was for Bree.
There you go.
I'm
Yep.
sorry.
And then there's one for Bree in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next steps,
So next steps, the responses came in. These were not sealed bids specifically because under Chapter 149, they weren't required to be. As far as the responses go, the ones for the windows came in a little higher than what we anticipated. The painting ones, for the most part, the lower end were kind of where we thought we'd be. I have forwarded these to John Williamson, and I'm awaiting further direction if they want to award it, or how that's gonna go as far as if it's being done under CPC. I also didn't know if perhaps they wanted some folks from the Historical Commission to take a look at the numbers. I've received a few calls from people asking if they know when we might be awarding it. And typically, the pricing on this stuff only stays valid, usually 60 to 90 days or
Yeah.
so. But I've just been telling people, it's a part-time board that's involved with the project, so we'll get back to people once we...
I had a short conversation with John, and he was going to, and I believe he was going to do it, was check the references,
Okay, good.
okay? But he felt that within these bids, we were pretty close enough that, assuming that the references pan out,
Okay,
we could probably move forward. So, but I think the ball's in his court now,
it
and
is.
he'll let us know.
Ultimately, though, the ball will come back to our court since we are
Exactly.
the applicant to CPC.
Right.
Right. At some point, it'll come back to us.
Yeah, and, I mean, there is some combination here that works, but we had 87,500 as a
Right.
total, including a contingency in there, so just have to be careful to, stuff will come up, for
Yeah.
sure.
This brings up another subject that's germane to this. Went up and looked at the townhouse, and there are, where the roof and the walls come together at the peak, there are holes, and you can see birds going in and out of it. Now, that's not in the bid, okay, even though we've looked at the clapboards. So I'm suggesting that we ask Steve, and I talked to John, the three of us go up and take a look at it and see if this is something we can do within maintenance. Because it's crazy to do all this work without doing it,
Right.
okay? So I don't have an answer beyond that, except to go take a look and find out what we're doing.
I think maybe that's a reminder that next year in building and maintenance too, we're gonna have to ask for more on that line because we've taken on this.
Absolutely.
And we don't have it in this year, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everything we seem to touch lately has a maintenance issue to it.
Yep.
Any other on the townhouse?
No?
Okay.
Do we want a date of a follow-up on this, or just, no?
I'll speak to John and see what his schedule is, and then I'll get back in next meeting.
Are we thinking that these contractors would get this done this year? So actually, I mean, we're in early September. Hopefully by next meeting, maybe we could make a decision on this?
I hope so.
'Cause
That'd be
that's-
good.
That's mid-September. The painting, they're not gonna be able to do.
Once it gets too cold out.
Right.
Yeah.
John's idea was that we do the painting first, the clapboard and the paintings,
Oh, was
and
it?
then we come back and install the windows. And even though it might require a little painting, just touch-up around where they install them, he thought it made more sense to get it moving so that it's done this year.
Would
And
be
I-
good to get it done.
I think it concur if they
Okay.
can do. So I put words in his mouth, now we'll see if,
July 9, 24, September 24th,
for what?
to put this back on the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah, which brings up, are we meeting weekly now, or? What do we
Well, we
decide?
have special town meeting next.
That's right, we decided to skip because of that, okay.
Yeah, and then we're meeting on the
On the
24th
24th would be good, thanks, Rick.
and the 1st, I think.
Yes.
And then we go
And then
every
we
other.
were skipping because of Columbus Day and
And Thanksgiving.
the
Okay.
way it falls with
Okay.
the Mondays, yeah. So we'll be meeting 3 times in October.
Okay. We'll call any planning council road draft payment. Put this on just to talk about, I thought what they did was great, to give us an outline.
It's pretty thorough.
Yeah. The cost of it is going to be astronomical, so we need to figure out in the 5-year plan how much we can fit into this. I know you've sent it on to Scott, right?
Yes, he actually convened a meeting with an engineering firm that specializes in pavement management software and the whole package, and they were pricing out some things for him, and he thinks that he might be able to use either Chapter 90 money or something to that effect to get a full pavement management program unrolled. So he's still kind of mulling that over and pricing it out, but basically, what that would do is take this type of information, but it expands upon it many times over. It gets into, on a particular roadway, things that the average person might not be able to see. So it's not just as simple as you drive down a road and, oh yeah, this needs to be paved. There might be certain sections that need to be paved, or in some spots it might need some other type of fix that maybe doesn't involve fully repaving it, things like that. So he's pricing that out right now, and what that would do is, aside from identifying all these specifics with the roads, it actually comes up with a whole plan for you. Like each year, it tells you which streets you should be focusing on, and more specific than that, which parts of which streets. And a lot of communities have had good luck with that type of program. It helps you leverage more funding, sometimes through Chapter 90 money,
Okay.
just because you can be more specific with what your plan is and everything. So he, I believe, was interviewing, he said, somebody that he knew from his prior position, an engineering company, from that to price some things out for him. And he's prepared to come, even if it's to our next meeting, if we want him to, and give a full update on that and see how we might want to move forward. The other benefit, too, to having a professional entity help with the mapping all this out is for presentation purposes, because they could come to, say, a town meeting and do a full presentation and actually show the people what they're referring to on these different roads and kind of what needs to be done. But it would be a little bit more of a surgical approach rather than broad brush, just, let's go out to bond for X amount of dollars to fix all the roads. This is a little bit more methodical, and it might break it down to dollar amounts that people can actually digest.
I think that makes perfect sense.
I agree.
Now, I think it's up to Scott whether he feels he'd be ready at the September 24th. If he wants to push it off a little, this is going to be a long-term project anyways.
Let me talk with him again. We met on this today to kind of go over things. He did show this draft, the OCPC one, to the engineer, and they said that they were impressed with it, that it came out good.
Great.
Just the engineering one is a little bit more, obviously, that's
Yeah.
what they do. So it's, but this is a good starting point for
Right.
us, definitely. So let me talk to him and find out either the 24th or maybe even the first meeting in October, and just kind of see how he wants to proceed with that.
I know in talking to Jim Mulcahy previously, his mantra with the roads was, you almost need to bond this out. It's going to be on the size of something, maybe not quite as big as the police station. So we need some sort of professional expertise to kind of help us walk through and check all the pieces, make sure we know what we're doing. But it feels good. First step,
Yeah, it does.
very
Well,
impressive.
we need to finalize it, get it beyond the draft, so maybe after we meet with Scott, we can vote
Yeah.
to amend it and accept it, and it would be
That
good
would
to
be
get it to
good.
FinCom so that they have an idea of what we're looking at for road expenses for
Definitely.
the capital improvement plan, too,
Yep.
once it's accepted. Okay, good.
Great.
It's a good thing done.
I have one or two things. Pass these down. In fact, I want that one back. It's color, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
color with highlights.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Take these in order. I went out and took a look at what would it take to do the sound system, and got two quotes. I had Aucas come in, who did our installation. You can see the first sheet. They came up with a quote of almost $10,000, $98.53 and change. The other person I talked to was from Access Audio Video, which is the people that have done work with Area 58. And they sent actually, they had a technician next door in Carver, so he stopped on his way, did a walkthrough. They look much more reasonable at $4,411. Question is, where would the $4,411 come from? And I'm not sure we have the money, given all the maintenance things that are going on, whether it can come out of capital, et cetera, but at least we can take a little bit time just to think through. What they were talking about doing was hanging some speakers that would come down below. One of the problems is the heater, the noise from it. They wanted to make sure that it didn't pick up all that noise and you never heard anybody who was in the room. We would also put a connection to the podium so that we could have a speaker, something like this here, that they could do. And they would wire the speakers. They looked at the Area 58 console with the idea that there are plug-ins, because the issue is, when we speak, this just does for cables, so this would broadcast it out to the people across. Conversely, when they talked, we'd be able to hear them back here. So it may make sense to have them come in at some point and just talk again. I would want cable 58 here to make sure that this is something that fits in with their equipment. But that's where I am in terms of pursuing this.
Big difference in the prices.
Big difference, and it makes you wonder, is the access audio-video robust enough? But on the other hand, 10 grand to put in some speakers seems like an awful lot of money.
Does seem a lot.
So this is a to be continued.
Okay,
Might be good to have Area 58 Executive Director take a peek. Maybe he would stop by.
That'd be wonderful.
Because he
Yeah.
knows his stuff inside
Right.
and out. I'd be glad to ask him when I get.
Okay.
I
Could
mean,
you give them copies of that too,
Yeah,
Mark?
this would be aiming at funding this at next town meeting, you think? Or-
Whatever, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing that has to be immediate.
Okay, I think we have a board meeting in a few weeks. I'll get this to him
Okay.
soon.
Great. The other sheet that's there is, Christine, you had asked about liaisons to the different departments, so this is what we had agreed to back June a year ago. I don't know if there's anything you think we should be updating, or where we want to go with this.
well, things have really changed once we've got Liz on board.
We'll just cross all these out.
I could
So-
amend this and just put Liz all the
Yeah.
way down, if you'd like.
We'll just move our column to the right.
If needed.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's what we should do, just, say, hey,
This looks pretty close.
first base is you go to
To Liz.
Liz. Second, if
Liz,
you need a selectman's follow-up, this is where we
That
do.
sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So maybe we should just reissue this with that as a cover letter.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Great. So you'll take care of that?
Yes,
Thanks, Liz.
yes. Do you want me to put together a memo for the different boards?
Sure.
Did they know who the liaisons were before, or will they not know what I'm talking about?
No, I think we did this before.
We
so they-
did.
We
Oh,
did it,
good.
and sort of unofficially, it's just sort of worked this way as well.
Good.
Yeah,
It'd be good to remind them.
yeah.
Right.
Good. Tara, do you want to talk to us? Oh, okay.
Thank you for that note, but I just want to make sure you understand.
Well, she's here, though. A shout out on the primary last week.
Yes.
Thank
Just
you.
smooth, beautiful.
So
Plympton, 25% turnout
Yeah, it was,
in primary is
it
amazing.
was surprising. I'm glad I was prepared.
Well done.
Yeah, very well
it really
done.
was.
Thank you.
Nice to see that high participation.
We're getting ready, obviously, for the special town meeting, but we're going to have early voting for the November election starting October 22nd.
Okay.
So it'll be
November,
here, like it was
October 22nd, early voting.
November It's 2 weeks.
Well, I'm thinking of it. Do you know how many people are in Marshfield, voters? Any idea? I heard that 6,000 people showed up for their primary.
Oh, well, I can find out what their
No,
official.
just
no.
6,000.
That's a lot.
Contested race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Speak with you about it afterwards.
For a state rep's position?
Yes,
Okay.
That must have been higher than 25%, I'm guessing.
it was very high.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a little shocked. Okay, do we want to go through board goals for coming year? Economic development? We're not.
Well, I think you're talking about possibly going to a seminar
Yes.
that talks about,
I'm looking at that for the 24th. I haven't signed up yet. I just wanted to make sure nothing major like came up here.
What's the conference or?
It's MAPC is putting it on, so one of the regional planning associations, and there's a variety of topics, and you can kind of pick what you're interested in.
Okay,
But I was thinking the economic development or the housing initiatives ones would be worthwhile.
either one, yeah,
yep.
yeah. I would think you
Yeah, just to have a
should.
better understanding, and I think that the governor or lieutenant governor are going.
I think they're both going to be there.
Yeah, so might be interesting and worthwhile to go.
So could you pull the lieutenant governor aside? You know, one of the things, met with Linda Letty today, talk about Cisco, and Mark and I are talking about whether or not they're, wherever we can find funds in terms of doing the Atwood project. But it seems to me that the state has been very good to us in terms of grants. There was a grant that would have been perfect, but it expires.
Right.
Because we have to go so quick, and they won't do it after the fact. But it would seem to me if we approached the lieutenant governor's office, because then it would go to Sean Cronin, to say, you know, we don't know all the ins and outs of all the departments, but here's what we're doing. This is why it's so valuable. It affects 32 towns in terms of the water, shelter issues. Where should we be looking in terms of grants, if any place, to help us with this?
That's a good idea. I can reach out.
Yeah, and just see, you know, maybe nothing comes of it, but maybe somebody, whatever we can get, we need.
One of the nice things about our governor and lieutenant governor is they were one selectman.
Yes.
So they fully kind of get what we're up against.
Right. And when you look at the grants we've got, your grant for the 250,000 of them, I mean, we've done very well. I think we have a story to tell that we're doing the right things to move the town forward. So we should build on it.
Okay.
Yeah, they may
Great.
know of something that's in the
Sure.
pipeline that hasn't been announced
Yeah.
yet.
Financial management. Liz, you set up
We're setting up another meeting for next week.
you've also got a teleconference going with this.
Oh,
Person?
the ClearGov people?
Right.
Yes.
So just what that is.
Well, they're salespeople, but they said that they feel that their product, which is essentially publishing statistics and different types of data about the town online, might be eligible for some sort of community compact type award. So I scheduled a phone conference with them just to learn more about it. Also, along those same lines, the IT director from Halifax reached out to me and also wants to maybe pursue some sort of community compact thing and let me know what he's applying for.
Good.
For them, so we'll
Good.
follow up on that too.
Yeah. Okay, great. Public safety?
Things are moving along. As you can see, the roof is beginning to be put on. Everyone acknowledges it's going slowly. The general contractor thinks several other projects are finishing up, and so he'll be able to move along a little faster. Public Safety Committee meets monthly with the OPM. Incredibly few change orders along the way, so very few surprises. The really cool thing is it's looking a little more like that we may have enough money to put in the driveway over there.
Beautiful.
And that, I would probably save $100,000 of doing it now instead of later. So not done yet, but I'm looking more hopeful, and that quality of life for all of us everywhere would be
Yeah.
really, really good. So, knock on wood, very few problems and going pretty smoothly.
Great. Be nice if they finished that roof, just so when
Yeah.
you drive by, you can.
Absolutely. Yep.
Grants, any, I don't have any updates beyond approaching the lieutenant governor. Volunteerism, I did send out a list. Maybe we can talk about that at the next meeting.
Look good, there were some neat
Yeah.
ideas on
Yeah,
there.
there
would
were a
like
lot
to-
of good ideas, I thought.
Yeah.
So we could potentially plagiarize some.
Sure,
Be almost nice to have a volunteer, a little committee that looks into doing things like this, you know, because they had suggestions, but it would take some work to do some of them.
well, and to get an idea of how much it's gonna cost and
Yeah.
that, but there were a lot of neat ideas.
Technology? Where's our friend Michael?
He's doing well. He's putting together the finishing touches on the master plan.
Okay,
And he's meeting with me tomorrow. He has to do something for my computer, and he also has to get Alan Frazier's computer finalized and set up.
okay.
He's also finished inputting all the email addresses into the new server. So that's going to start moving along pretty quickly. He had to verify a couple last-minute things with me as far as old emails that he wasn't sure if we needed to retain or not. So he's moving along.
So you'll have to think through how we're going to announce that, so that, because that's going to be quite a change when we go to the new.
It will be a
Emails.
big change in that, I mean, anybody who has business cards will need to adjust those, and we'll have to go through the website and make sure that the two interface properly.
Right.
Will be a big one. And then if anybody's on any kind of automated list, that sort of thing.
Yep.
I did speak with him a little bit about seeing if we could keep the old ones functional for a little bit and have everything automatically forwarded to the new ones for a while to
That
give
would
an
be-
opportunity
yeah.
for people.
Running parallel is
update.
always great.
Yeah, just to update any subscriptions that people might have, or if their names are on any sort of association list or whatever. But it would be a different, everything after the @ would be different. And we also tried to simplify a few of the individual email addresses too. Some of them are just so long. I forgot what the ending is, though, that we decided on. We went with an inexpensive one.
Okay, good. I like to use USMs as a test to just try it for a week or two.
Let me talk to him about that. I don't think he was planning on bringing everybody online right at one time
Yeah.
either, so we could probably,
If there's any hiccups, I'd rather it happen to us than to have other people.
well, speak for yourself. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you got 2 out of 3 here that have refused to use the system. so-
I use it.
I know you do.
But I'm on some association, so it'll be interesting to see how that
Yeah.
works with getting it updated, so, yeah.
Okay, great. Town administrators?
I have a question regarding business cards.
Sure.
We used to use somebody, and I don't know if we want to go through a reprint today, what should be offered to the people if we.
We should
people
just
would be-
price
would be
it
a
out and
discount at
figure
certain
out
places?
whatever is the cheapest option. And then anybody who has them, I'm assuming if we ordered them in bulk, that we would save money, but we should definitely price it out.
We also should make sure, who needs them,
Yeah, yes, I agree.
because it is expensive.
It is expensive, and if
Yeah.
you don't use them, then there's
Yeah.
no point.
I throw Liz's out all the time.
You throw them?
No, like,
Oh, okay.
I don't even throw you there. I'm throwing her out there to the wolves.
Liz?
Let's do correspondence first, because there's a
Okay.
few things for you guys to sign. The first one is from Cook and Company, one of the town's insurance companies. These are the 2 contracts for injured on duty claims and administrative services. This covers the time period from July 1st of 18 through June 30th of 19. So this looks pretty standard. I don't believe anything significant has changed from in years past, but they do need this signed, and there are 2 copies of the same document here. And then there's a spot that we need to fill in some information. So just where it says sign here, it looks like they only need 1 signature. So John, I don't know if you want to.
Sure.
So do we need a motion on that?
I would vote, just to keep it straight, that vote to sign the contract with Cook and Company for this fiscal year.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the next item is a Columbia Gas install for 2 Ring Road, and Scott from Highway has already approved. So we just need this to be voted on.
So I make a motion that, this is a curb cut, is it? Or our
That's on Ring
approval
Road,
on
yeah.
installing the new gas service
Right.
on 2 Ring Road.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are you signing this somewhere?
The orange,
I didn't see
No,
a spot for it. I think just knowing that
vote.
you had the vote to
the orange
approve
sticker
sufficient.
is for what? Initials, or it says
That
town?
we need to fill in there if something gets sent to us where we
Oh,
want
okay.
it going. So we'll
Okay.
put in our
Okay.
address.
Do you want this, or?
Bree can take that.
Great. Thanks.
We have a letter here. It's a notification from Chief Dillon, just informing the board that he's going to commence discussions with Sergeant Terry to renew his employment agreement. The current agreement is set to expire on January 31st of 2019, so he's beginning that process. Was that? We have a letter here from the Council on Aging requesting a donation box to be put at the transfer station, along with whatever donation boxes are already present on that site. I'm not personally aware.
Donation of what, money or goods?
They want a box so that people can donate to them.
I think it
But-
says clothing.
Clothing? Oh, okay.
Different things. There's also a thing here for,
Oh, I took it.
you talk about a check sent to the Friends of COA. Also, it says Shaw's is willing to donate expired flowers, and they want to sell the flowers for a nominal fee.
At the dump?
It just says from our location, and so I don't know. I just saw this like right before the meeting, so I have a few questions. I don't know what location
I
they're
think we should
referring to.
clarify it first before we make a decision.
I don't know if they're talking about here, like out of that office, or where they're gonna stage these flowers, or if they're talking about the transfer station.
Well, yeah, we need to get highway involved if
I
that's the
think she was
case.
doing flowers, was it gonna be here, or it was gonna be, what's on 106?
I just worry a little bit that we're kind of maxing out some of our resources here, because now where we're running both Meals on Wheels programs all out of this tiny kitchen, and then if they're doing the flower thing too, I
have a
don't
question.
want it to, I don't want the operation
Right.
to exceed the allowable space. And you also, I mean, I don't know, but if the flowers are kept here, if they're already being donated, I would question how long you could keep them here without them starting to get,
Well,
I don't
also,
want them to get,
Also-
start to wilt and become, and then be in the kitchen with the food, and I don't know.
also whether or not, Stop and Shop would feel comfortable with us then selling the flowers that they
That
normally
they
sell.
gave as a
Right.
donation.
Also have a question on the Meals on Wheels. Halifax is not going forward with their senior citizen
Right.
renovation or
So
build.
maybe they can.
So why, with our small kitchen, why are we going to do their Meals on Wheels? I think they
We'll
should come
follow
back.
up with her on that for a status update. And I'll check with her on this and get more information.
There are also probably money issues on, if we're collecting money on flowers, if
Well,
they're
then you have
collecting
to do a
donations.
whole,
Yeah, there's a whole big
There's a whole
thing, not
thing
to
that you-
complicate it, we
No,
want
you're
to
right,
support them.
'cause-
No, but-
That has to go through the treasurer.
It does.
Through the accountant, because we had that issue with the revolving funds
Yep,
as to how to take money in for those,
exactly.
so
for
we'd,
those projects.
Right,
it's a
we'd
bi-
have to
it's a
do-
big to-do.
right,
And it seems like a lot for just, and
right.
I'm guessing that the intent on the part of the corporate partner who's donating these is that each week the flowers would be given to seniors with their meals and
Not just
not
charging.
just sold or resold, so I don't know. We can pursue that
So
further.
the punchline is, if anyone's watching, we want to be supportive, but we got to make sure a process goes.
Right, absolutely.
Well, it would be nice too if she used you as a sounding board before sending
The letter.
letters, just so that we can kind of, you can help her work through things that may be issues before the requests
Come to us.
come to us.
Yeah.
Where you've kind of vetted them and find out that if, we can actually do it.
Right,
I know
right.
other towns, as far as the donations of flowers from grocery stores, they were just what Liz said. It was given to residents. So if they were donated from Shaw's, they could be brought to Route 106 to the senior center there,
To the Woodlands, yeah.
to the Woodlands, and
Right, or
distributed to the people
distributed
that
out
have-
with the Meals
Meals on
on
Wheels,
Wheels.
right.
Or with the meals.
Right, but not
That's what I've
sold.
always seen. I haven't
Right.
seen anybody actually collect money from a donation
Okay.
of free flowers.
Okey-dokey.
The last Plympton Halifax Express we have is from August 31st. However, there was a nice article in there about a very generous anonymous donor for the Two Brooks Preserve Project, and there were some very nice pictures from the Marshfield Fair.
Would you like the updated one? Half one and the bottom.
It was all Halifax anyways.
Well, no, there were a bunch of letters in support
Yes, there were.
of,
You're right.
Two
Yeah,
Brooks, some
yeah.
really nice letters.
Yes.
Maybe, and can I expand on just that? The anonymous donor is a $25,000 matching grant. So for gifts of $500 or more, will be matched up to a maximum $25,000. So anyone that feels like they can stretch to at least the $500 range or more, your money gets
nice.
doubled. And
That's great.
and there were, in last week's Express, several really beautiful letters to the editor that happened to be all in favor of the Two Brooks projects.
Yeah, I think there were, 5?
4 or 5
Yeah.
good ones, 2 former selectmen, and a bunch of other thoughtful people.
3 former selectmen,
Did I miss one?
Barry, Colleen, and
Colleen.
Howard.
Oh, yeah, right, exactly. All right.
And then on my updates, we're still working with the utility companies to get the applications for the incentives processed. I believe they have 3 or 4 more approvals left to go. It sounds like the energy company that was involved was a little bit late getting them some of the final applications, so Eversource is being really helpful. They're processing them as quick as they can. The fire chief assessments for the people who made it through to the assessment round are scheduled for September 13th and 14th. And let's see here. The Town Green Bandstand repairs project, as well as the fire station exhaust system projects, are out for responses right now. They've all been advertised, and prices are due back on September 19th.
Go back to the fire for a minute. The 13th and 14th? Somehow I had it a week
No,
later.
this is the assessment that the Chiefs Association's
Oh,
doing.
that's when they're doing it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then 2 people will be forwarded to the
Yeah,
board.
okay.
We're still accepting sealed bids for the mini pumper fire engine. The
Have
bid
you
opening
received any?
for that. We received 1 so far. They're due back by September 19th, and the bid opening is scheduled that same day.
Is there a min on that?
Number 19.
We set the reserve, I believe, at 60,000.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look at the advertisement.
I think that's right.
I
Yeah.
believe it was 60.
I think so too.
I've done so many of these in the last few weeks. I received from Scott Ripley the engineering info that Jim Mulcahy had done for the Winnetoxet, the road bridge.
Yeah.
So I think now the next step should be, we can kind of go through some of that info and maybe talk with the folks at DOT and see about doing an application. Jim actually had made a good point to Scott. He said where you're allowed to apply up to like 3 different times a year, that we might do better if we wait until the February application, because then if contractors don't have quite as much work going on, you might get better pricing as opposed to right now, while everything's so busy still. But he had a full engineering study done on it, so, and it's only a year old. So I think that would be very legitimate and relevant information for any sort of application we do, so that part's good. I already went over the IT stuff. And Old Colony Planning Council is planning their workshop here on Monday, October 15th, from 4:30 to 6:30. And that will be open to the public, anyone interested. And it's going to be more of an open house style type setup, so people can come and go as they please without worrying about missing anything. It's really so that they get some face time with the people from OCPC and can kind of make some of their ideas known as far as would people think of, housing here at the town center, or do they want to see something different with respect to transportation? It's just sort of a brainstorming workshop type session where people can come. I haven't finalized all the details yet with OCPC, but I've seen similar demonstrations put on before by other planning associations, and that format usually works pretty well, because people don't feel like they're being lectured to
Yeah.
for,
I'd like to see what their visuals are gonna be.
okay.
Okay, just so when the people come in the room, I'd be interested. I'm hoping they're gonna have some sort of a schematic that at least would allow us to look at the land and say, as you think about this, what would you like to see and where would you like to see it?
I will talk to them and try to find out more between now and then.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything, we don't need huge design. They can almost take it right off Google.
Right.
So that's 5 weeks away, which isn't so far. We're going to have to start getting the word out to,
It's
Town
been on,
citizens.
it's been on Facebook, it's on the website. I did an email blast.
It was in the paper.
It was in the paper, but we can kind of keep up
Yeah,
with that
keep going.
and keep putting it out there.
Absolutely.
Could also mention something about it at town meeting
absolutely.
while
Yep.
people are there.
Great.
And maybe I can have some more of the flyers made up, and we could have them available for people to take at town meeting.
That would
That's a
be
good
great,
idea.
That's
'cause
really
those are
good.
the
They'll be
Those are
there
the people that are
anyway.
interested in this stuff, and we'll let others know.
Do you want it put on cable? If I can get the
Oh,
flyer
that would
put
be
on.
great. Want me to, I'll send you again do you want the flyer
I can
itself?
actually they'll put the flyer right on,
Okay,
yeah. I
Okay.
just email it to them.
perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, that would
If
be
they don't
good.
have a computer, they'll at least see TV.
Say again?
My mother watches, she tunes in all the time.
Good.
I think for the selectmen too, for that workshop, I talked with Tara about posting our meeting, and she said that we might want to post a meeting of the selectmen beginning at 4:30, and then if there isn't a quorum, that's no problem, but just in case there is,
Yep.
it's already posted, and then we just won't schedule any other business until 6:30.
That makes sense.
Very good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That it?
That's it.
That's good.
Good.
So I got a couple of things, these are more questions. Maybe I missed this. The DOR grant that we got to look at the shared fire services, where are we on that?
We're all closed out, so what happened was, we were never sent our money.
Okay,
So there was no issue with our accounting department. I don't know where the money went, but it didn't come to Plympton. And they figured that out pretty quickly, so then they made it right, and they sent us the 20,000 to cover the study.
so we did get the
We
20,000?
did. We
Okay.
did, to replenish that money. So they sent us 20,000 and then closed us off and said, okay, thank you, we're all set.
That's fine.
Perfect.
And Halifax, they're working with them to figure out their pool of money. And I believe that they were okay with some joint training.
Yep,
Maybe not quite to the extent that we had previously thought, but they seemed amenable to that. So
okay.
they're working with them directly, though. We are now officially out of the money discussion.
Great.
Good. So, closed out.
Closed out.
Great. We talked about having a communication meeting of the boards. Did we ever set anything up in terms of how we were going to do that, or a date, or when we were thinking of it? I know we had a
Oh,
discussion.
you mean like when we all
Yeah,
had our
right.
round table?
Oh, one of those.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
It would be good.
I'd like to see that happen either 2 times a year or 3 times a year, whatever we think, but,
Well, it's probably been a year.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
we'll get it into October or November and pass some other things.
Maybe we should put it on our 24th meeting to talk through how that might work.
Right.
Absolutely.
What would you like it to be as?
September 24th, brainstorming a communication meeting with all the boards, committees.
And you'd want council present again? Or Rich?
I don't know, I think that's one of the things we need to talk about. What would be the sort of overarching theme of that meeting? In that case, we wanted to have Rich available to talk about legal issues that the boards might be facing, but I'm not sure if that's what we want to do this time. So we can think about it.
Yeah, that'd be fun having Rich here, I think that people really enjoyed that, but some other, yes, focus down theme a little bit. I'd like to think about that. It could
Yeah,
be something
okay.
like-
So we'll
Okay.
talk about it on the 24th?
Yeah, good. Last thing, I was looking back at some old action items, and I had one, do we need a condo bylaw? And this was when Deb Stewart was here. She was the one who raised it. And I'm not even, can't even remember what,
It was the mobile station.
okay. So, should we even address it? And if so, I guess, Liz, I'd ask you to talk to the assessors, but I'm not even sure what it means.
I think it was because it was one parcel owned by 2 different parties, if memory serves me right, Bree. And that was considered a condo?
Condominium lot,
Yeah.
yeah, but now it's not. And they've separated the taxes.
Okay.
It's- I don't want to say anything.
Okay, so maybe we should check with Wendy to see if we even need to.
I think it's probably,
I don't know if somebody didn't know how to do something at the time.
That could be,
Yes.
okay.
And now everybody gets their own tax bill. It's different owners and then.
Sounds like it's squared away then.
Yes.
Okay,
We like that.
sounds like you could just check that one right off your list.
Okay, dates to remember? Any other before we go to dates to remember? Nope. So we've got the special town meeting coming up Thursday next week, 7 o'clock, Dennett Elementary School. Be there or be square.
Yes.
We have a Board of Selectmen meeting on the 24th. We were talking about potentially having an executive session.
yes, Wendy said she's good for that date, so at 5:30 for some assessing matters.
Okay, yeah, I think there's some things we should talk out if we can.
Mhm.
And you will be meeting before the special town meeting at 6:30.
Okay. So
Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
6:30 on the 20th,
Thank you.
okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, we need to award the fire engine bid.
Okay. And then you've got us the 25th to interview the finalists for the fire chief? Or is
I
that
bel-
tentative still?
That's tentative.
Okay,
On their part, are we all set with the 25th?
We were all set with
Okay.
that date,
Okay.
but I need to check with Chief Benjamino and figure out.
25th. Anybody got a pencil?
Oh, I just have
We have a whole cup here.
Got pens.
all pens.
can you write it on maybe your agenda?
Oh, yeah, well, that'll get buried.
I
All right,
can
I'm writing
email
this in
you.
ink, so this better happen now.
Okay, so, because we won't even have names until after the 14th, the
Correct.
recommendations.
So that's why I just want to double check everything with him.
Okay.
Sometimes I get a little ambitious with the calendar.
Okay,
And then from 9:25, we go to October
First.
1st for our regular BOS meeting. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Anything
So
else
10
you can
one?
think of we should be dates?
And then what's after 10:1? Then we go 10:15?
10:15 and then
10:29?
10:29.
Mhm.
10:15 because of Columbus Day, is that?
Right.
Right.
Okay,
And then we go
And 10:29.
Very
And then
good.
November turns out to be twice in November because of Veterans Day And the way that that falls, I believe, I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Yeah, the 5th and the 19th, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, minutes.
And you said executive session, excuse me, will be held on the 24th?
At 5:30,
Okay, and open session at
6.
Did you get a chance to read the August 6th? I didn't see anything that was,
I just thought on those, the executive session, it says roll call vote. I think that has to be spelled out. I don't think just saying roll call vote is enough.
okay.
That was on,
after the interviews?
yeah, it was after the interviews. Where was it? Okay, interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
roll call vote. I think it actually has to say that we all voted in the
Yeah.
affirmative
So you
rather
can just put
than,
our names.
or our initials.
Yeah.
Yes, something like
Okay.
that. I would say roll call vote and then JT, yes, CJ, yes, MR, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I had a question on
Do you wanna write that in there?
townhouse, sure. Townhouse summer evening hours begin 7-9?
What do we have?
It says townhouse summer
Did I mean to delete
evening hours begin 7-9.
someone? Old.
Well, this is,
Must have been on there, yeah.
Okay. So let's just scratch that
yeah,
one.
that's great.
Super minor, on page 1, the last block of bold, the hereby needs an E in there.
Okay,
First page, where it says vote, MR made motion, the BOS.
oh, hereby, got it. Okay, HEREBY. And then the roll call vote will go JT, yes, CJ, yes, MR, yes. Okay, looked good.
So I would make a motion that we accept the minutes of August 6th with the amendments that we just talked about.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we have the minutes of August 20th.
I thought those looked fine.
I did too.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of 8:20 as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's it with minutes.
Who did
We're
the
up to date,
second on
right?
that? Yes. Who did
I marked it a second on that one.
Second.
Rants and raves. Anybody got any rants and raves?
My rave would just be all the people that are coming together for the Two Brooks Preserve. That the activities that are planned and all of the work that you have been involved with, and Linda Letty, and all the people that are coming together to really, to make this happen.
Yeah, I agree. My rave would be also for Mr. Russo for just the sheer amount of hours you've put in to make this happen and leading the charge, which has not been easy.
No, it has not been easy.
Been
This would be
fun.
like herding cats.
Yeah, how many land projects any of us have in this, thanks. And barn party Saturday night, information's out there,
Yeah.
worth taking a look at. And
Talk to
food-
Rick, we're at the limit.
Okay.
Really, you've sold out.
Yeah, 199.
Terrific. That's
If it
exciting.
goes over 199, it's a large event.
Okay, so small event, okay.
You know, that brings up a subject for another time, is a year ago, we tried to clarify all that. I'll come back
We
to that.
did. We
Yeah.
Right
did
after
try to-
town meeting, I'd like to
Okay,
come back to
good.
that.
Okay.
And work on that. So my rave is, it's a little off subject, but we mentioned before the primary election last week and how wonderful our people did in running the election. I went home right after voting, or went to my mother's home, and she immediately said, "Have you voted yet?" And I mentioned that I had to work first, but she reminded me to get out and vote, and I asked her who she voted for, and she said, well, I wanted to be an independent, but they said I had to be a Republican or a Democrat, so I told them what I wanted, and they gave me the ballot, and I said, well, Mom, who you'd vote for? She's 93 years old, and she went on about whether she had to be a Democrat or a Republican, blah, 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 but who'd you vote for, Mom? And she said that part was easy. I just voted for all the women. And I think pollsters out there, political analysts and consultants, when 93-year-old women are saying that, there's a message there somewhere.
Yep.
But the last piece of that is, I think I heard this right, maybe at last meeting, you mentioned that state women, selectmen, and mayors were getting together?
No, it
or
was
regional?
actually the
Kingston.
women selectmen from Plymouth County are getting together, and we tried to do it in August, but it ended up kind of falling through the cracks. People just had conflicts, so we're going to get together in the fall, and we're going to talk about issues that we face.
Beautiful. So, when you mentioned that, I just totally resonated with that as maybe a slightly different perspective on what we're doing locally, regionally, and even nationally. So, political consultants, something's happening.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely report back on what we
Great.
discussed. I think a lot of it was going to be looking for some shared service opportunities and things that we can work together on to save money as on a countywide type basis.
Very
So-
nice.
I support it 100%. I think, at one point, I worked for 5 women at one time, in matrix management. And it was very interesting because of the way they worked together. They were much more, willing to work, to bring up things and talk it through, where you get the guys and pretty soon they're, like this. So I'm looking forward to what you come back with. I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, too. So,
You ladies can have the whole thing. Just
Hey, we screwed
Fix
it up.
it,
Let the ladies fix it.
We usually do,
You usually do.
just saying.
great.
It's going to be
Oh,
the
my
young people who
God.
got to figure it out now.
Exactly.
So without any other business, I make a motion that we close the open meeting of September 10th.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yahoo.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.